Audiobook Academy Biography presents Oscar Pistorius. South African sprinter Oscar Pistorius was the first amputee to compete in track events at the Olympics in 2012. On Valentine's Day 2013, he was convicted of the murder of his lover and sentenced to death. Blade Runner Oscar Pistorius, a South African sprinter who lost both of his legs as a newborn, went on to become one of the world's most successful athletes. Having first taken up running at the age of 16, he went on to win gold in the 2004 Paralympic Games in Athens. In 2012, Pistorius became the first amputee to compete in a track event at the Olympics, making history. When Pistorius was arrested for the murder of his girlfriend Rivastine at his house the following year, the world took notice. Childhood. On November 22, 1986, Oscar Leonard Carl Pistorius was born in Johannesburg, South Africa, the first amputee athlete to compete in the Olympics. Oscar Pistorius was born to Hank and Sheila Pistorius, the middle child in a family of three. His family was well known in South Africa, yet they maintained a middle-class lifestyle. In Pistorius' early years, tragedy had a significant impact. His father, a businessman, and his mother divorced when he was 6 years old, resulting in a poor relationship between Pistorius and his father. Drug problems following a hysterectomy killed his mother when he was just 15 years old. Pistorius was born with a physical disability. His parents had to make the agonizing decision to amputate his legs below the knees before his first birthday since he was born without a fibula in either of his legs. By the time he was 6 months old, Pistorius was able to walk on prosthetic legs. Even with his disability, he continued to participate in a wide range of activities, from cricket to wrestling to boxing. Until Pistorius was 16 years old and needed a sport to help him recover from his knee injuries from rugby, track was the only option for him. His ascent through the ranks of the game was lightning fast. Almost 8 months later, he won the gold medal in the 200-meter race at the 2004 Athens Paralympics, wearing a pair of flex-foot cheetahs, a lightweight carbon fiber foot. Olympic Games. The following year, Pistorius raced in multiple events in South Africa against able-bodied athletes following his victory at the Athens Olympics in 2004. As Pistorius's fame grew, so did the invitations to compete in European races. The runner's prosthetic legs, on the other hand, sparked outrage. The International Association of Athletic Foundations, IAAF, barred Pistorius from competition in 2007, claiming that his mechanical legs provided him an unfair edge over able-bodied competitors. The Court of Arbitration for Sport rejected the IAAF verdict in May 2008. Pistorius promptly appealed the ruling. He focused his training efforts on making the 2012 Summer Olympic Games in London after missing the cut in Beijing in 2008. Pistorius won 3 gold medals in the 2011 IPC Athletic World Championships, earning the nickname Blade Runner and the moniker Fastest Man on No Legs. At the BT Paralympics World Cup, he won 2 additional titles, the 400-meter and 100-meter sprints. With his qualification for the 400-meter race at the London Olympics in the spring of 2012, Pistorius achieved his lifelong goal of competing in an Olympic Games. Even though he was knocked out in the semifinals, he became the first amputee athlete to compete in track sports in the Olympic Games. By flying out his 89-year-old grandma, Oscar Pistorius celebrated the event. "It's a wonderful feeling," he stated after his first race in the Olympics. Pistorius said, "On the starting blocks, I felt myself smiling, which is really unusual." The death and murder of Rivastine. It was discovered that his girlfriend, South African model Rivastine, had been found dead at his Pretoria, South Africa, home in February of that year. Shot in the head and one arm, Steenkamp was pronounced dead in the early hours of February 14, 2013, according to authorities. In little time, the police had designated Pistorius as a suspect. On February 19, 2013, at a hearing in Pretoria's Magistrate Court, Pistorius acknowledged to accidentally shooting Steenkamp on Valentine's Day, 5 days after her death. He went on to say that he shot his girlfriend because he mistook her for an intruder in the restroom and thought she was a threat. As a result, if found guilty of premeditated murder, Pistorius would be sentenced to life in prison. Prosecution and sentence for culpable homicide. The trial of Oscar Pistorius began on March 3, 2014. The charges against Pistorius were not limited to the planned murder of his girlfriend. He also faced charges linked to 2 separate events involving the use of a firearm. To all counts, he said he was not guilty. He said that he fired at the bathroom door because he was startled by the sound of an unknown intruder in his home, which was coupled with his vulnerable state of mind without prosthetic limbs. Michelle Berger, Pistorius's next-door neighbor, testified that she heard a lady scream blood-curdling and a man call help. 3 times the night of the murder. Another witness, Berger, said he heard gunfire. During the trial, prosecutors alleged that Pistorius and Steenkamp had argued the night before the murder, and as a result, she had locked herself in the bathroom. Pistorius took the stand as the trial advanced to defend himself. Prior to claiming that he shot Steenkamp by mistake, he apologized to the family of the woman he killed. As Pistorius was testifying, he broke down in tears. This display of emotion did not sway all of the onlookers. Pistorius later denied taking acting classes prior to his court appearance, which fueled speculation about his guilt or innocence. The trial resumed in May after a short break. According to the Los Angeles Times, Pistorius' lawyers called in a psychiatrist to testify that the athlete had generalized anxiety disorder. This ailment was raised as a potential factor in Pistorius' violent behavior. After that, Judge Thokozil Mesapa requested that the trial be postponed once more so that Pistorius could be examined by a team of psychiatrists for his mental health. An analysis of Pistorius' psychological history presented at the end of June concluded that he did not suffer from an anxiety problem. After a brief break, the trial was quickly resumed and went on for several more weeks before the closing arguments were made by both sides. Pistorius was found not guilty of premeditated murder by Judge Mesapa on September 11. Pistorius, on the other hand, was later found guilty of culpable homicide and sentenced to 5 years in prison in October of last year. He was freed from prison on October 19, 2015, and placed under house arrest and correctional supervision for 4 years. To go on with her life, Steenkamp's mother June stated in an address at her former school in Port Elizabeth, "I didn't want him thrown in jail and suffering because I don't wish suffering on anyone, and it is not going to bring Riva back." Appellations and the imposition of new penalties. Pistorius was found guilty of first-degree murder of Steenkamp on December 3, 2015, by South Africa's highest appeals court. A misreading of the law and a dismissal of circumstantial evidence led to prosecutors charging culpable homicide in 2014, according to the court. Judge Eric Leach ruled that the identity of the victim was irrelevant to the accused's guilt on the charge of first-degree murder. "I have no doubt that, in firing the fatal shots, the accused must have foreseen, and therefore did foresee, that whoever was behind the toilet door might die," Leach said. For the murder of his girlfriend, Rivastine, Pistorius was sentenced to 6 years in prison by Judge Mesapa on July 6, 2016. But the South African National Prosecuting Authority, NPA, slammed this sentence, saying it was disproportionate to the offense. When the Supreme Court of Appeal announced that it will hear the state's appeal against the 6-year murder sentence on November 3, 2017, it was widely anticipated. The South African Supreme Court of Appeal handed down a new sentence of 13 years and 5 months to Oscar Pistorius on November 24, 2017, shortly after Lifetime premiered its original movie Oscar Pistorius, Blade Runner Killer. Supreme Court Justice Willie Sariti highlighted in his verdict that Pistorius failed to explain why he fired the deadly rounds in several court appearances and did not seem sincere in his sorrow. According to him, the 6-year sentence is shockingly mild and trivializes this terrible offense. When asked about her clients, the lawyer for the Steenkamp family replied, "Yes, of course. Riva's justice has been served, in my opinion. She's finally at peace now, and that's a relief." At the time, Pistorius was unsure if he would appeal the sentence to the South African Constitutional Court. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.